Greetings and welcome to the 20th episode of Retro Rant. For this episode we have a rather obscure platformer for the Commodore Amiga, Apprentice, released in 1990 by Rainbow Arts. This is one I didn't have back in the day, since Amiga platforming back then was dominated by Super Frog, Giana Sisters, Zool and James Bond. Even if I had a chance to see it in action, I would be seriously underwhelmed looking at this creepy title screen. I wouldn't want to meet the dentist or the hat maker of this apprentice in a dark alley. But since Retro Rant caters to the lesser known games, let's give this one a go and see how it plays. You control an apprentice without a name, let's call him Mike, who dreams of joining the Magician's Guild. But because you're only 400 years old, and that explains the teeth in the title screen probably, you are deemed too young to join said guild. But there is a vicious dragon called Fumo, which sounds like a clown's name actually, which the chicken elders of the guild are afraid to confront. So it is up to you, Mike the Apprentice, to rid the land of this evil and prove your worth. At first glance, and maybe second glance, the graphics of this game look laughable. Rainbow Arts was a quality company with great titles such as the Tarican series, X-Out, the Giana Sisters, and it was 1990 the year Tarican came out and 2 years after the Giana Sisters, so there was no excuse for a game of such poor graphics. I have seen C64 games with way more impressive visuals than this thing. When you are walking sideways, your body seems to disappear and be replaced with one gigantic arm. The animation is also awful. The heart of Mike the hero seems to have a rat inside, that's why it moves so erratically while the hero walks. The sea seems to be frozen in time eternal. Perhaps the game designers were getting philosophical there, or they just couldn't be bothered to make the water animate. The bodies are also bland and generic, and the levels are quite samey, so the visuals of this game are an ode to laziness. 8-bit users would be laughing at Amiga if they took a look at this. The sound is quite good on the other hand, and this should come as no surprise since it was composed by Rainbow Arts superstar composer Mr. Chris Hulsbeck. Apprentice is by no means one of his greatest works, but what is there is of high quality and it fits the game quite well. There are a variety of tracks of a relaxed, dreamy and positive nature, which for me more than make up for the samey graphics and maintain a nice level of excitement. It should also be noted that there is simultaneous music and sound effects, which should be the norm in Amiga games, but unfortunately it wasn't back then. But what makes Apprentice a buried gem for the Amiga is the fantastic gameplay. The game might be a bit on the easy side, but it controls very well. There is a lot of hidden stuff to discover and multiple routes to take, so the replayability value of this one is quite high. The gameplay is also quite deep for a platformer. Instead of having to muscle your way through tedious collectathons or traverse stupidly complex mazes like traps and treasures, the game implements the puzzle elements perfectly and it never feels dumbed down or overwhelming. You have a lot of power-ups to help you in your quest, a spring that makes you jump higher, a leaf that makes you fall more smoothly, a smaller version of yourself which is handy for reaching small tunnels, and potions that make you invulnerable to fire. You have to use these power-ups wisely because your success depends on them. The bodies can be avoided, or they can be killed by throwing boxes or bombs at them. You should be very careful in the tactics you choose in dealing with them, especially in later levels. There are also shops where you can buy goodies, teleports, as well as doors where you can trade your items for other items, usually keys. The difficulty curve is ideal in Apprentice, as it starts out quite innocuously and it gradually gets trickier and trickier. I think that it is a textbook difficulty curve for Euro platformers, which should be taught at all retro game developing colleges, if there were any. I should also mention that the game is highly addictive and relaxing, and you cannot stop playing once you start. Overall, would I recommend Apprentice? I definitely would. Don't let the diabolical visuals put you off. This game is a beauty to play and most certainly deserves more love and recognition from the Amiga community. So that's it for now, and I'll see you next time!